Welcome to Shenkman Education. My name is Marty Shenkman, and our topic is post-nuptial agreements. You know, you got married, but you didn't do a prenup, or you did a prenup and everything's changed. Life has changed. What do you do to modify an existing prenuptial agreement or to get a post-nuptial agreement mid-marriage, during the marriage? And why might you want to do that? So a common thought is you didn't do a prenup, marriage isn't going great, but you're still civil, you're working on it, maybe you're in therapy trying to salvage the marriage, and you want to avoid a knockout, drag-out fight that so many divorces become by working out whatever arrangements you can civilly work out now. That's a common scenario, but don't think it's the only one. Again, modifying a prenup is kind of analogous, maybe identical under state law, depends on state law, to doing a post-nuptial agreement. In other cases, you may feel like, you know, the marriage is good, I just inherited a whole lot of money, or I just hit, a home run at work and in the stock market, and I want to make sure that I'm providing enough for my spouse. You could even have asset protection motives where one spouse has addiction issues and you want to shift assets out of that person's name, maybe into an irrevocable trust, maybe irrevocable trusts, and also the other spouse who's not struggling with addiction, but you want to protect both parties. There could be a whole range of reasons to do a post-nuptial agreement, but you need to do it with care. First point, really important. Every state's rules on this differ, and they change over time as case law develops. It's not just statutory law, it's case law. So what you need to do is make sure you speak to a family law specialist in the state where you are. Now, determining which state you're in, that alone could be an issue. You know, you may have 2 or 3 homes. Where are you? You may travel, like by RV. But you need to take a look at a whole bunch of things. Another really important point, each spouse, especially mid-marriage, and this is true for a prenup, but especially for a post-nup, must have their own independent attorney. Each spouse should pay their own independent attorney. You don't want the wife paying for the husband's attorney because she has more money. Husband has to pay for his attorney, so there's no potential ambiguity as to where that attorney's loyalty is. This is important because in a marriage, when you're doing a post-nup, you have a fiduciary or position of trust vis-a-vis your spouse, and the courts are going to want to make sure that you didn't do anything inappropriate. The words could differ depending on state and case law, but there should be some concept of reasonableness or fairness to what you're doing. You can't have the spouse with all the money bludgeon the other spouse into an unreasonable deal because divorce could be upcoming. And there's a lot of ways to address that. Maybe you sweeten the pie, you give more to the less moneyed spouse. Maybe you increase life insurance coverage if you die so the non-moneyed spouse has more assets. Make sure you pass a reasonable test. Have your financial advisor, wealth advisor, do some forecasts so you understand really what's going on with the arrangements being made. That could be important to supplement whatever the lawyers are doing and really to even give them direction. So if your financial advisor says, if wealthy spouse dies under these agreements, the less wealthy spouse is never going to make it financially, maybe you need to go back and tweak the financial arrangements. So I've tried to give you an overview of post-nuptial agreements. I've tried to talk about some of the reasons for doing them. They're a lot broader than many people think. You got to make sure you have independent counsel, pay for your counsel, understand the agreement, have some reasonableness to it, get some financial forecasts and models so that you know that this stuff really works, and be sure to address whatever local law requirements there are. So a post-nuptial agreement in many, not necessarily all states, can be helpful. Even if it's not legally going to have the impact that you want, it may still be advisable to do. Talk to an attorney. This is not something you should be doing online on your own. I just think that the variability and the risks and the nuances of the law are too great. Hopefully this information has provided you some practical guidance on post-nuptial agreements, and be careful to remember that any of the information on this website is really for informational purposes only. Don't take any legal action, especially on a topic like this, without appropriate professional guidance. For more information, see shenkmaneducation.com. Thank you.